Hello guys, welcome back to LR Anime. Guys, please like the video and subscribe to my channel. Today is explanation of Flame Emperor episode number 395 based on novel. So let's start. Two incompatible forces slowly and completely transformed this place into a real ice and fire purgatory. The power contained in it is truly suffocating, and this power only lingers around the medicine garden and the medicine pool. It seems that there is a special enchantment here that isolates the power, so that other figures cannot detect it. Listen to my explanation. It's all a misunderstanding. Xiao Yan's face sank, looking at the aggressive attack in front of him. His color changed slightly. Now the power in the body has been slowly recovered. Although the speed is slow, as long as there is enough time, the influence of the power of belief will be completely dissipated. However, even Xiao Yan did not dare to underestimate the attack of this woman, not to mention now Xiao Yan's internal strength is quite strange. This kind of attack cannot be fatal, but the pain caused is certain. Hanyang's sword. Su Shuiying doesn't care about Xiao Yang, anyway, she has decided to take over Xiao Yang to protect that thing. After adding Xiao Yang, she tried to belittle herself twice, when she thought of her body being exposed without reservation. Under the perception of Xiao Yang's soul, the extreme anger and shame that had been suppressed were vented out like a flaming flame. As soon as the voice fell, a cyan sword chi suddenly shot out from his delicate body, and immediately formed a cyan flame sword at the wrist. The cyan flame sword and its body matched Su Shuiying's body, and the size ratio was just right. At the outermost edge of the cyan flame sword, layers of cold energy swept out, and inside the cold layer, there was an extremely hot cyan lava. Liquid, the sword ray flickered at the blade, and it was extremely sharp. Xiao Yang, you shouldn't have come here. Looking at Xiao Yang, who was constantly being forced by her own holy flame to retreat, Su Shuiying suddenly raised her arm, and the cyan flame sword pointed heavily towards Xiao Yang's place. But the voice did not seem to be killing intent, but rather a very solemn warning. Is this girl crazy? Seeing Su Shuiying's posture, Xiao Yang couldn't bear it anymore. If it wasn't for the influence of Xu Shao's belief in his own body, I'm afraid it would be because of this girl's domineering attitude and arrogance. Yang Hui directly did her here. Of course, it was the kind of management that asked Xiao Clan's secrets after the pressure was suppressed, and there was no other meaning. Since you are not benevolent, don't blame me for being unjust. After a while, seeing Su Shuiying, who had no less vigor, Xiao Yang murmured coldly, and immediately resisted the invasion of Yuqing Hanyan with only his soul power and his body. Above the suspension medicine pool, his complexion was ashen, his teeth just clenched, and he walked towards it step by step. At the moment of walking, the soul power on Xiao Yang's body gradually dimmed, and after he breathed, it was secretly withdrawn by Xiao Yang, and the soul defense on his body became faintly unsupported for a while. Although you have done me two frivolous things, but because you have the blood of the Xiao family, I will not kill you. Go back to the place where you should go. The jade hand held the blue flame sword, the tip of the sword pointed at Xiao Yang's chest. Su Shuiying said arrogantly, but there was a trace of worry in her voice. Not killing him is already the biggest step back that he can make. If he blatantly asks about some guardian things, Su Shuiying will not hesitate to kill it. After all, the latter has seen before, and the strength is still Emperor Do level, but now the fighting chi is lost in the body, and he is not even qualified to cultivate. Such a person is obviously not qualified to know anything about the Xiao family. Humph, Su Shuiying, don't you think I, Xiao Yang, is a person who is greedy for life and fear of death? Su Shuiying's face became solemn, and he said each word with a sonorous voice. His voice shook like the sound of thunder. Su Shuiying, not to mention her own reasons, it seems that the disappearance of the ancient Xiao clan really gave the guardian a very disgusting emotion. But what's the reason? Crack. With a sound, Xiao Yang's whole body's defense composed of soul power was instantly shattered. At the same time, countless terrifying Yuqing Hanyan did not hesitate, and fell on Xiao Yang's skin like raindrops. At the moment when a drop fell, Xiao Yang's face twitched violently, and his skin also became red. Obviously it was extremely terrifying to be burned by it. Of course, in fact, this kind of flame will definitely not have such a significant effect on Xiao Yang today. As for why Xiao Yang is like this, I am afraid he knows it himself, but the fleeting smile in his heart also seems to explain what. Although Su Shuiying is pregnant with two holy flames, her beauty is excellent, and she is even gifted, but compared with Xiao Yang, she is still a little far behind. After all, this guy has experienced a lot and understands more than Su Shuiying. Count. The 100-year appointment is just a joke. Today, you are not only underestimating me, but also have no vindictive energy in your body. You have lost your qualifications for cultivation. I did this to save you, to keep you from the Xiao clan. The last bit of dignity in blood. Don't you know? Su Shuiying gritted her teeth, and the cyan flame sword stopped when it was close to Xiao Yang's chest, and there was obviously more anger in her voice. This time, I'm here to make an appointment. You promised me to reach Dozian within 100 years, so you can tell me these things, and now I have achieved. Xiao Yang's expression did not change, he was still talking to himself, and his body was still covered with countless flames. The attack turned red, and he walked towards the sharp edge of the cyan flame sword step by step. I will send you to a different dimension where you can live the rest of your life. You don't have any grudge in your body. You are just lucky and protected by a little soul power. Also, when I sent you into a different dimension, don't say that you are a descendant of the Xiao clan. Although I have a deep resentment towards Xiao Yang, the merits and demerits are worth it. They are still the true overlords of the great thousand world. No, you can be compared to a common man like you. Su Shuiying shook her head slowly. A hint of helplessness appeared in her long eyelashes. Before Su Shuiying finished speaking, Xiao Yang suddenly grabbed the azure flame sword with both hands and grabbed it tightly. Suddenly, the surrounding cold flames trembled rapidly. Su Shuiying. I'm here this time, not just on behalf of myself. It represents the entire Xiao family. If there is anything wrong with our Xiao family that is sorry for your guardians, let me pay it back. Xiao Yang's face was pale, and he opened his mouth with difficulty. No need. Seeing this, Su Shuiying refused directly, but she was still shocked by Xiao Yang's actions. As soon as Su Shuiying finished speaking, Xiao Yang suddenly pushed hard with both hands, directly thrusting the cyan flame sword into his body suddenly tense, and a sense of weakness came out of his body. Xiao Yang, what are you doing? At this moment, Su Shuiying was completely panicked. She never thought that Xiao Yang would act like this. I know this is not enough, but please give us a chance. Because my ancestors and you will always be friends, I don't want to because of some misunderstanding, let us fight each other. Xiao Yang's face was pale, and he said with great difficulty. After speaking, a conspicuous blood hole appeared on the palm of his hand and on his chest, which was quite scary. He passed out in a coma within a few minutes. The fleeting smile and the rapidly recovering power in his body seemed to be intentional by Xiao Yang. It is said that the Xiao clan is ruthless, sinister and evil, and in the end he abandoned us for the sake of profit, but the way he looks now, he is willing to die at the price, and the result is just to prove the Xiao clan. Why? Mother, he is completely different from the Xiao family you mentioned. Why is this? At this moment, Su Shuiying's heart was in a turmoil, a trace of redness flashed in her beautiful eyes, the blue flame sword fell directly, and her body was slightly melancholy. Trembling, he directly hugged Xiao Yang with his slender body, conveying a trace of pure vindictiveness to him, tightly just to help Xiao Yang continue his life. Su Shuiying was a little younger than Xiao Yang. As for why she resented the Xiao clan so much, it probably had something to do with her mother-in-law. Xiao Yang. Xiao Yang. Xiao Yang. Wake up. You don't want to die. A bewildered cries rang out in the medicine garden, and Su Shuiying stood on the medicine pool, and the continuous fire attribute vindictive energy was sent into Xiao Yang's body. The two bodies fit together. Looking at Xiao Yang, the sluggish breath and the blood hole in his chest made him choked with distress. The 100-year appointment was actually just a space of refuge that Su Shuiying gave Xiao Yang, Lotus Leaf, where they knew that Xiao Yang really came here. However, the urging of the Lotus Leaf is at least at the level of fighting immortals, and it is impossible to use external force. How did Xiao Yang do it? Big, beautiful, wonderful. At this moment, an unusual agitation swept out of Xiao Yang's body, and every inch of the skin on this beautiful figure that fit his body in front of him with the power of his soul just casually swept out, seemed to be filled with perfectly suffocating. Strange. Why is something wrong with this guy? Su Shuiying also regained some sense of reason after resting, and immediately carefully checked Xiao Yang's situation. Now the blood hole in Xiao Yang's chest is very obvious. Although he did not hurt the source and heart, he fell into a coma. This is obviously not in line with Su Shuiying's life and learning, but from his own experience, Xiao Yang obviously cannot hold his own. Life is joking and deceiving yourself. It's a pity that Su Shuiying doesn't know that Xiao Yang already has the power of immortality and immortality. Even if his heart is broken, the impact on him is very small. I really know how to enjoy it. At this moment, a gloomy shadow suddenly pierced through the barrier light shield protecting the medicine pool, suspended above Su Shuiying and the two of them, sneering. Xu Xiao hated Xiao Yang very much, and so did Xiao Yang, but both of them possessed unique skills, and I am afraid that there will inevitably be a fierce battle today. Who is it? Su Xueying hurriedly snorted, her eyebrows wrinkled, and the bright blue holy flame swept out all over her body, which greatly lowered the temperature of the space here. Yang hugged tightly and said sternly, "Even if Xiao Yang is a first-time cripple, he is worthy of his own protection because of the blood of the Xiao family. The 23rd Saint Flame. But after today, everything you have will be ours. Go and meet them, I still have something to do." After Xu Xiao finished speaking, the void behind him trembled strangely, and then a dark red coffin measuring dozens of feet suddenly appeared. The black coffin is about a few meters long, but it is surrounded by countless ghostly ghosts, and even some extremely ancient blood inscriptions, which make it very strange. This guy has a lingering ghost, and he didn't see him back when he was in the demon world. Why did he go to the demon world? Xiao Yang, who was in a coma, couldn't help but wonder in his heart. Boom. Xu Xiao disappeared immediately, apparently heading for a higher place. Su Xueying just wanted to chase, when she saw Xiao Yang's pale face in her arms, which revealed countless eerie expressions in the combined void. The dark red coffin of breath, there is nothing to do for a while. What is this place? Hell or heaven? At this moment, Xiao Yang also woke up with an extremely realistic expression, his eyes slightly opened, and he muttered weakly, "You're not dead." Su Xueying couldn't help but responded angrily, but her beautiful eyes slowly stared at the dark red coffin above the void. It seems that since it appeared, the void here has been imprisoned. The pressure is suppressing himself. That kind of power is obviously not something that an ordinary 6-star fighting immortal can possess. Of course, Su Xueying let go of Xiao Yang as early as when Xiao Yang's body changed, but Xiao Yang's bitter plan was quite successful. It laid the groundwork for resolving the relationship between the two forces. "You stay here, I'll take care of this thing." With a casual swipe, Su Xueying's jade feet flashed with cyan flames, and the speed of her figure soared, and she attacked the dark red coffin directly. What the is Xu Xiao doing? But this thing is not something you can handle. In 5 minutes, my strength will be fully restored. Xiao Yang did not stop, just sat down and tried to regain control of the strength in his body. Always pay attention to Su Xueying. And through Xiao Yang's perception, it seems that there is some kind of creature in this dark red coffin, and that level of power can be said to make Xiao Yang shudder, not to mention the weaker Su Xueying. Blue flame cold sword. Qingyang slash. Su Xueying jumped all over, and could only see the cyan flame and a pair of flawless jade feet flickering in the air, the cyan flame sword on the palm of the hand carrying the sacred and inviolable holy flame, facing the dark red coffin hit hard. Even with the blessing of the holy flame, Su Xueying's attack landed on the dark red coffin, without causing any energy ripples, only a rather dull voice emerged. "What a sturdy coffin." The blow failed, Su Xueying stayed coldly above the void, and looked at the dark red coffin, the cyan flame sword in her hand violently tossing in both temperature and strength. Wong buzzing. Just at the moment when Su Xueying was puzzled, the dark red coffin shook slowly, and then stood upright after resting, and even on the coffin lid that suppressed the coffin, a trace the silky blood-colored lines are like ancient and mysterious ancient texts, flashing with extremely powerful and mysterious. This is the power of faith. What the is going on? At that time, Xiao Yang's heart was filled with monstrous waves, his eyes slowly opened, and he stared at the dark red coffin erected motionlessly. At this moment, with that kind of power, even Xiao Yang felt his heart palpitate. Hey! With a sound, the dark red coffin lid was suddenly blasted open by a smear of grey energy, and then countless grey fog enveloped the entire coffin, followed by a fierce and terrifying aura. "This is a human being." After Shorenshi, as the grey mist dissipated, Xiao Yang, with his dazzling soul power, saw the human being lying quietly in the coffin. It was the body of an old man, and there was no trace of life on his body. Obviously, the corpse was perfectly preserved after his fall. However, it was this strange fluctuation that made Xiao Yang feel that something was wrong. This is Lei Shue, the 4th elder of the Thunder Clan? How is it possible? This guy has been dead for thousands of years, and the corpse was perfectly stored in the Thunder Tomb of the Thunder Clan. How could it be here? At this moment, Su Xueying's jade hand trembled slightly, and her cherry-like face couldn't help but open wide. Very surprised. Wong buzzing. At the moment when the two were surprised, the grey mist inside the coffin was injected into the old man's body without any leakage. Immediately, the vitality of the dead old man's body was quickly restored. There are faint signs of awakening, and the power in his body is clearly at the level of 8-star fighting immortals. The old man in the coffin was originally dead, but as the mist from the inner wall of the coffin poured into the body, his body shook slowly, and his pale face became angry. It was as if he was about to wake up, and even inside his ashes-like body, a monstrous force slowly filled up, as if he was about to recover. Su Xueying stood on the spot with great doubts at this time. Obviously, she knew this guy just after her speech. Lei Shi, the strength of the 8-star Dozian in the early stage, has used this strength to kill many middle-stage powerhouses of the 8-star Dozian. His identity is the 4th elder of the Thunder Clan in Doyun continent, and he is one of the best in the Thunder Clan, but he has already fallen. For thousands of years, the Lei clan used a secret method to store the corpse in the Lei tomb, but how could it appear here now? The ancient race includes some powerful sect families. With their strictness, there is absolutely no case of guarding and stealing. Now the slowly loosening Lei Shi in the coffin in front of them will undoubtedly make the two of them feel bad. What the is going on here? At this moment, Su Xueying couldn't help but open her eyes coldly, facing Xiao Yang with a questioning tone. I came here through the lotus leaf you gave me, but I was attacked by the powerhouses of the Soul Palace halfway through, and I just came here. I'm afraid your position has long been exposed in the eyes of the Soul Palace. Now, you should always believe what I said before. Is that right? Xiao Yang's body recovered 89% of his strength, and suddenly came to Su Xueying's side quietly, and said in a low voice. It has to be said that this girl always has a faintly seductive fragrance, which even makes the amber fire in Xiao Yang's body tremble strangely. Humph. Su Xueying is naturally reluctant to admit it, and every time she talks about this, she can't help but feel a trace of anger hanging on her cold cheeks. After a while, her jade feet and blue holy flames are surrounded together, and she raises her hands. The cyan flame sword blasted away at the thunder lion that was about to wake up. The angle of its attack is at an extremely tricky angle, as if trying to obliterate Lei Shi with one blow. But strangely, when Su Xueying swooped away with the cyan flame sword, the tip of the sword was strangely stuck on the edge of the dark red coffin, unable to move forward at all. Be careful. Xiao Yang thought it was something at first, but when he saw Su Xueying's dilemma, he finally understood and exclaimed. This idiot. Xiao Yang watched the eyes of the old man in the coffin slowly open, and an extremely terrifying wave swept out. He cursed secretly, the amber flames wrapped around his body, and quickly turned towards Su Xueying. Go. It's alive. How is that possible? The distance between Su Xueying and the dark red coffin was less than 1 meter. The eyes of the old man who was lying safely in it opened, and the vast power turned into an invisible energy ripple that spread out immediately. A fear deep into the soul swept through the body uncontrollably. At this moment, Su Xueying's body was trembling and trembling. If it weren't for the protection of the blue holy flame, I'm afraid this coercion alone would be enough to make her worship her completely. There are too many differences between the 6-star fighting immortals and the 8-star fighting immortals. Boom. With a sound, the old man regained countless vitality in an instant, and woke up from the coffin like a living person, still standing in the coffin, but the grey-white eyes turned out to contain endless the killing intent. The invisible energy ripples spread out like thunder arcs, spreading out in all directions, and suddenly shook Su Xueying away. Fell down. Are you all right? Just as Su Xueying was in a hurry and fell weightlessly, Xiao Yang frowned, and immediately caught Su Xueying with both hands quite a gentleman, and said softly, but Xiao Yang's eyes were always watching the opening in the coffin old man with 2 eyes. Relying on Xiao Yang's perception, this guy's current appearance is not like a human being, like a ghost but not a ghost. In an instant, the old man in the coffin raised his old palm, and the gorgeous grey thunder swept out directly from around the body. The terrifying destructive power made this medicine garden imprisoned by mysterious forces twisted. Go. The old man called out softly, and the old man gave a flat voice. The countless thunderbolts all over his body, like elite soldiers waiting in a serious battle, quickly blasted towards Xiao Yang and the two of them as if they had been ordered to attack. Xiao Yang, let's go. Seeing such a fierce attack, Su Xueying only felt a tingling chill swept out of her scalp. She didn't care about anything else. She broke free from Xiao Yang's support in one fell swoop. Thunder Force resisted. Why don't you go? Staying so hard when you're about to die. Really annoying guy. Countless thunders, like poisonous snakes, wrapped the two of them, quietly lurking around, waiting for a fatal blow. Su Xueying couldn't help roaring. At the end of the day, the blue holy flame spread out and wrapped Xiao Yang, trying to send Xiao Yang away from here. Come on. With a cold snort, a cyan flame slowly emerged on Su Xueying's left hand, and then on the other arm, a very restless black flame emerged. Give me a little peace. At this moment, Xiao Yang changed his cowardly aura just now. The terrifying aura around his body was accompanied by amber flames, like a scorching sun, releasing endless holy might. Xiao Yang knew that even if Su Shuiying possessed 2 holy flames, she could not resist the attack of the 8-star fighting immortal powerhouse. Boom! Break it for me. Without any more words, Xiao Yang's amber flames wrapped around his fist, and immediately a heavy wave of fear swept out from the fist, a touch of gorgeousness. The 4-color arc of fire danced slowly, and then Xiao Yang roared. Crack! With one punch, the countless thunderbolts all over his body were all shattered. Immediately, Xiao Yang carried his hands behind his back, as if he had done a normal thing, staring at the old man in the coffin. This is the power of the holy flame. At this moment, Su Shuiying stood blankly in the air, obviously a little unbelievable. The flame on Xiao Yang's body was even more terrifying than his own blue holy flame. The deepest black flame also emits an evenly matched aura. Leave the rest to me. Xiao Yang didn't bother to explain anything. He took a step forward, and the holy flame's power and surging fighting qi rose up like a pier, radiating endless sacred majesty. Liar! At this moment, looking at Xiao Yang's body with 4-color flickering amber flames and soul fires, in coordination with the aura that erupted from his body, it was only stronger or weaker than himself, Su Shuiying suddenly said such a sentence. Oh, the little guy with holy flame. And more than one. At this moment, the old man in the coffin spoke abruptly, and there was no emotion in his voice. Senior is an elder of the Lei clan. Why do you come to bully our juniors? Xiao Yang spoke slowly from a height below 0. Without knowing Lei Shi's intentions and specific circumstances, Xiao Yang would not act rashly. However, Xiao Yang always felt that the reason why Lei Shi disappeared from the Thunder Tomb, and even his resurrection today, was probably related to the power of faith that Xu Shao and the Soul Hall had just collected. Hee. Hearing Xiao Yang's questioning tone and the violent tumbling flames on Xiao Yang's body, Lei Shi's pale palm slowly lifted, gushing out directly from the coffin, and stepped a few meters in front of Xiao Yang, laughed maliciously, and that kind of smile reached Xiao Yang's ears, and it turned out to be a shocking numbness. Don't be nervous, I actually don't know why I'm here. I am a deceased person, and the last trace of strength accompanies my corpse in the Thunder Tomb. Lei Shi did not show any signs of doing anything, instead he looked at Xiao Yang with interest, as if he was talking about something. But now you, to a certain extent, are indeed resurrected, and you have inherited all the powers of your life. Xiao Yang naturally did not believe this guy's nonsense, and said coldly, Don't talk nonsense, kill them for me. Just when Lei Shi was about to say something, his body shook uncontrollably, and a gloomy voice resounded in his mind like an unquestionable order. The old man's palm was covered with countless white cocoons, and then a trace of unusually harsh thunder light beams vented out from the body, rendering the entire medicine garden here into a real thunder pool area. What are you doing? Seeing this, Xiao Yang didn't know why, he just said it well. Why did he do it? I don't know, my body doesn't seem to be under my control, be careful. Lei Shi was also at a loss, so he could only speak to remind Xiao Yang. Heavenly thunder and blood demon palm. Lei Shi reminded Xiao Yang just after his voice fell, his face turned out to be uncontrollable, he suddenly opened his mouth, and suddenly countless thunder powers flew out from his body, converging towards his palm. After the blink of an eye, countless thunders flickered on Lei Shi's palm, and an unusually harsh thunder light group condensed out. The breath contained in it, I am afraid that the real powerhouses in the middle stage of 8-star fighting immortals can only temporarily avoid the edge. This old man is actually here. Xiao Yang's pupils shrank tightly, and he turned to look at Su Shuiying, who was full of endless chills in the beautiful eyes behind him, and couldn't help but feel a chill in his heart. Today's Su Shuiying may have a greater opinion of herself, but I have to say that her appearance is no different from a grudge. Kill. Lei Shi said coldly. After he finished speaking, he pushed his palm hard at Xiao Yang. A terrifying thunder palm carrying the power of heaven and earth turned into a pillar of thunder and attacked Xiao Yang's vital points. In an instant, the entire medicine garden was surging, the space collapsed and distorted extremely seriously, and there was a possibility of a complete collapse at any time. Immortal golden body. Looking at Lei Shi's strange appearance, a pale yellow flame replaced the amber flame in Xiao Yang's body. At the same time, a scene of a golden giant with a size of hundreds of feet completely filled the entire space. The golden giant dragged the sky with his hands, stepped on the bottom of the medicine pool, and looked at Lei Shi with contempt. Boom. Although the thunder beam contained the coercion of heaven and earth, when it hit Xiao Yang's immortal golden body, it did not cause any damage to the golden giant. The two stirred up countless energy tides. After a few minutes, Lei Shi's attack suddenly disappeared, and he seemed to be recovering calmly. It seems that someone did it on purpose. But this kid has some familiar fluctuations. Lei Yisha smiled slowly just after the attack was over. Just now, a sinister voice emerged from the deepest part of his body, and immediately his strength and body seemed to be under control, and he could only follow his orders to act, but now that the attack was defeated, it seemed that the absolute control was temporarily ineffective. Pick me 1 foot. Just as the attack fell, Xiao Yang naturally did not understand Lei Yisha's situation. Considering Su Shuiying's situation, Xiao Yang just wanted a quick solution. Boom. With the blessing of Xiao Yang's amber flame and soul fire, the holy pattern on the ancient ruler looked extraordinarily sacred and noble. Immediately, Xiao Yang held his breath and moved rapidly. In front of Lei Yisha, he slashed out in one fell swoop. With a sound, Lei Yisha's body was sturdy, and he was struck in half by Xiao Yang. Wang buzzing. Hit by Xiao Yang's terrifying attack, Lei Yisha did not feel any pain, but his eyes lit up, and the 2 halves of his body instantly shattered into countless thunder arcs. In front of Xiao Yang. Intact. Even the position where Xiao Yang had just attacked had no scars. How is that possible? At this time, the ancient ruler above Xiao Yang's palm dimmed, and his expression was particularly solemn. With the attack just now, Xiao Yang had absolute confidence to obliterate Lei Yisha, but Lei Yisha was attacked by such a terrifying attack and turned into countless arcs of lightning in an instant, and immediately returned to an intact state. Is it impossible? Is this lion also immortal? But it's impossible. The fatal injury just now, even if he is immortal, he can't recover so quickly as before. What is the situation of this thunder lion? Wanhan Yenjie. Just when Xiao Yang was at a loss, Su Shuiying's light voice sounded, and immediately the 3 bodies were completely wrapped in a layer of countless layers of ice and flames. Some evil text should have been planted on you. At this moment, Su Shuiying spoke softly, obviously aware of Lei Yisha's strangeness. What do you mean? Xiao Yang wondered. In the great world, there are many ignorant and incompetent people. They are proud of studying all kinds of evil and crooked ways all day long. And the reason why Lei Yisha was reborn or even possessed an immortal body is probably the handwriting of the Shadow Man just now. I suspect that he may have mastered some kind of sorcery. Su Shuiying looked at Lei Yisha's strange appearance and said after thinking. Hehe, they are really 2 smart little guys. You Xiao clan are kind to my Thunder clan, so I won't take revenge for kindness. But my situation, even I don't know. As this girl said, I'm afraid I really have something in my body that can control my body and strength, even an immortal body. Lei Yisha smiled slowly, but the final word has not fallen yet. This ice barrier was directly pierced by the dark red coffin just now. Hey! Lei Yisha's body was directly thrown into the coffin by a mysterious force. Immediately, the lid of the coffin was tightly closed, and he quickly penetrated the void and disappeared here. What's the situation? The 2 looked at each other and hesitated. This Xu Shao is really a scourge. It seems that this time, we can't let him go. After Shun breathed, Xiao Yang nodded secretly. Where are you going? Xiao Yang's voice had just finished, and he suddenly watched Su Shuiying disperse the barrier in front of him, trying to head towards the top of the mountain. Where do I go to your business? Big liar. Su Shuiying said resentfully. Su Shuiying, I represent the entire Xiao family. If you are mixing your personal emotions, I don't mind. Xiao Yang immediately became violent when he heard the words, and said coldly, the warning in his voice was obvious. How are you going? How can you? I won't tell you a single word about the Xiao clan, you give up. Su Shuiying said, and slowly walked towards the medical garden border barrier, trying to break the barrier and go to the core of the mountain range. Do you believe that I'm killing people here? Xiao Yang couldn't help roaring. It's really strange. Before the Xiao family disappeared, was it a murderous parent or a stubborn ancestral grave? Why did the Guardian have such a big prejudice against the Xiao family? You dare not. Su Shuiying said casually, ignoring Xiao Yang. Stinky girl, you forced me. After Xiao Yang finished speaking, the power of the middle stage of the 7-star fighting immortals and the amber flame soulfire were released together, and immediately enveloped the entire medicine garden. Since this girl doesn't want to eat hard, she can only bite the bullet and go, hum. The power of the middle stage of the 7-star fighting immortals and the power of the amber flame soulfire were intertwined. For a time, Su Shuiying's pressure increased greatly, and even the pace of movement became slow. Don't tell me. Xiao Yang's body was as fast as a ghost. He grabbed Su Shuiying's jade hand, and he roared low, not wanting to admire the beauty at such a distance. Obviously at this moment, Xiao Yang was completely angry. She was struggling to retreat, and she was retreating, but this Su Shuiying didn't know what to do. Let go, you hurt me. Su Shuiying was so frightened by Xiao Yang's strength, The blue holy flame in her body tried to protect herself, but under the pretense of Xiao Yang's amber flame, she didn't dare to do anything. The power of resistance quietly crawls in his body, but if he uses the more powerful black flame in his body, it will cause a lot of load on himself. Su Xueying can only speak coldly after weighing it. In the final analysis, Su Xueying is only a woman without any personnel. Now she can feel Xiao Yang's unusually powerful breath and the masculinity of a man at close range. Her breathing can't help slowing down, and even her always cold face has become a reality. Some temperature. Don't challenge my last patience. Otherwise, I don't mind doing other things. Anyway, you always thought that the people of the Xiao clan were like this, so I'll be a downright bad guy. Xiao Yang said decisively, but after he finished speaking, he grabbed his hands tightly. Su Xueying's icy wrists, her eyes fluttered fiercely at her body like a bright moon, and a trace of malicious smile appeared. You. Being so provocative by Xiao Yang, Su Xueying's momentum weakened for a while. Although Xiao Yang is a member of the Xiao clan, he is from the lower realm after all, and he is very different from the Xiao clan who abandoned them before. In addition, Xiao Yang sacrificed his life to save himself just now, and he did not hesitate to use his life to justify the Xiao clan. Su Xueying felt the same way. Whole grains, don't know what to do. At this moment, the anger in the medicine pool was extremely strange. Now Xiao Yang grabbed Su Xueying's wrist, and his anger attacked his heart, and a strange breath swept out from the lower abdomen. After all, at the current close distance, even if Xiao Yang, a person with a firm mind, couldn't control it. Love the country, love the beauty more. Boom. After the blink of an eye, a humming explosion sounded from the top of the mountain, which was the higher position where Xiao Yang and the two were located. The fierce aura contained in it was beyond ordinary. 8-star fighting immortal powerhouse. What's the matter? Xiao Yang took back his breath, and immediately said hesitantly, from the explosion, Xiao Yang clearly smelled a strange fluctuation. After all, the move just now was only used to scare her, because there was a flame in her body that moved Xiao Yang slightly, and that kind of power was probably enough to surpass the top 15 on the Holy Flame list. If she insists on doing this, I am afraid that this girl will fight the threat of serious injury, and she also wants to protect her own cleanliness and beauty. Although this girl has no idea and has been seen by Xiao Yang's purpose of this trip is not that. Of course, although Xiao Yang is not afraid, but in that case, I am afraid that there is no way to solve the relationship between the Xiao family and the Guardian. That is, the location of the mother's palace. No, the mistress is in danger. Su Xueying looked up with her beautiful eyes, and suddenly lost her voice, and an urgent voice sounded. Xiao Yang, for the sake of saving me just now, I have one last piece of advice for you. Leave here as soon as possible, otherwise the mistress and the rest of the guardians will know your true identity and they will kill you. Their strength is definitely not something you can resist when you have the Holy Flame and the 7 stars fighting immortals. Su Xueying nibbled her silver teeth, and then looked at Xiao Yang with a complicated expression. In the end, she didn't want him to die. After he finished speaking, he didn't care about Xiao Yang's actions, his delicate body trembled, and blue flames swept out, cooperating with his body to leave countless afterimages in the air, and headed directly towards the top of the mountain range. Kill me. I want to see, what are the capabilities of these guardians? Xiao Yang heard the words, his breath skyrocketed, and he followed directly. Not to mention that there are reincarnation powerhouses among these guardians. If Xiao Yang is really in a hurry, all the holy flames and the power of the devil are blessed. Even if it is reincarnation, Xiao Yang is enough to threaten serious injuries and send him completely. Enter the cycle. Boom. At the same time, when Xiao Yang followed Su Xueying towards the so-called Mistress Palace at the top of the mountain, countless terrifying energy ripples swept out from the surrounding mountains, and the towering trees instantly turned into powder, floating around in this space. No, retreat. Xiao Yang just went to think about the grievances of the guardians of the Xiao family, but did not notice that the void leading to the top of the mountain was covered by a layer of colorless and transparent thunder power, and the two stepped into it in one fell swoop. Wong buzzing. With a sound, Xiao Yang and Su Xueying were suddenly completely wrapped in a huge grey thunder net, and an unusually heavy breath was swept out. It's you again. Xiao Yang looked at the giant net of thunder around him, and immediately knew that he might only be able to defeat the enemy and move forward. He then slowly narrowed his eyes, staring at a certain place in the thunder, and his voice was extremely cold. Hihi, little guy, we meet again. As Xiao Yang's voice fell, Leisha's voice appeared in the giant net of thunder, and at this moment, the aura above his body became stronger and more condensed. Get out of the way. Without waiting for Xiao Yang to make a move, Su Shuiying said coldly with a monstrous killing intent in her icy eyes. I'm also being controlled. In order to obey the order, I have to come and kill the two of you. Lei Shi said with a smile. Obviously, for him, the inexplicable resurrection is no longer important, as long as he can fighting with equal opponents is his long-cherished wish. You're courting death. Hearing Lei Shi's contemptuous voice, a black flame spread out in Su Shuiying's body, like the rising sun in the dark night. The giant net trembled violently. What kind of flame is this? The color is black. Rank 12 or not? Xiao Yan stood quietly and looked at the cyan flame and black flame on Su Shuiying's body, but for a while he couldn't tell what kind of flame it was. It's really two little monsters, both with several kinds of holy flames. So, let's do it. There was a strange wave in Lei Shi's dead grey pupils, and the extremely strong thunder force all over his body instantly fought with Su Shuiying. This girl, with two kinds of holy flames, actually wants to use her own strength to forcibly fuse it, and can fight Lei Shi with the strength of the six-star fighting immortal, although the outcome is already very obvious, but this courage. Strange, this Thunder Lion's attack doesn't seem to be fatal. Instead, it seems to be a bit of a touch to Su Shuiying. What is the situation? Xiao Yan stood aside and muttered to himself. Lei Shi is a deceased person, inexplicably resurrected by Xu Shao using evil methods, thus recovering almost all the powers in his life, and even possessing special power similar to the immortal body, and he must obey Xu Shao. But now the battle between the two is clearly a teacher who is broadcasting his apprentice on demand, which is very strange. This scene obviously surpassed Xiao Yan's cognition. For a time, Xiao Yan's mind was unable to contain Xu Shao's killing intent. This time, no matter what, Xu Shao must die. This video will end here.